Hello guys, welcome to CS Tech Solution. Today's is learn in SQL. Today's is learn as a SQL insert data queries. Insert statement is used to add a new record into SQL tables. And first as a basic insert queries as a insert into a table names and counts inside as column 1s, commas, column 2s, commas, column 3 and many columns has to write with separate the commas and after the values and the counts and inside the values has to gives values 1 commas values 2 commas values 3 and the counts close and the semicolon. And the example as a create tables as a table names is student and counts inside the as a colon names and the data types has to gives like student id is a integer, name is varchars and counts as a 50 separate with commas, and age is to gives in integers and commas, and the cities is the varchars counts as a 50 and all the counts close and the semicolon. And insert query as a writes, so the insert into as a table name is a student counts and the colon names is first as a colon side as a student id commas as the names commas age commas city is a four colons has to use and the counts close and values and counts inside as values has to give first IDs as ones and commas and as names in single quotes inside the string value as a varchar as a Rahul's and the commas, and the age is there's in integers value as a 20 and commas, and the cities is the varchar, so the single quotes inside the values has to give as Ahmedabad. And so the output like columns has to gives and the values has to gives in separated in the columns. Second is insert a multiples rows as insert a multiples record in at once. So the insert into as the table name is a student and the counts inside the column names as the student ID, name, age and the city, and the values inside as counts and inside the values has to gives and 2 as a id student id as a 2 as names is Amit and the age 22 and cities is the Mumbai. In the counts close and the commas, and after the another counts has to create and the another's values is to gives like student id is 3 and the names is Priya and the age is 21 and cities is Delhi, and counts close and the commas after the another's data is in brackets, so the fourth and the bracket has to gives and the Neha's and age is 23 and the cities is the Pune and the counts close. And another data has to write as a commas and the brackets inside the another data has to write, and last counts is complete after the semicolons has to give, and so the output is a many data has to gives in one times to insert and print the in the table. Third is insert the data without specifying a colon's name. You can skip the colons names, and if as inserting the values for all the colons in or orders, and the syntax is insert into a table's names and the colons names is not give in brackets as directly as move in the values, and counts as a values has to gives values 1 commas values 2 commas values 3 and the counts close and the semicolon. And the examples has to give as an insert into a table's names is a student and directly as a values and the values and brackets inside the values has to give as the student id is a 5 and the names is Raj and age is 24 and the cities is a Surat, and the counts close and the commas. And fourth is a instant selected colons only, and insert only as a required the colon. So the insert into a table's names is a student, and the counts inside two columns data sets to show as a student ID, and commas as the name. So as a insert only two datas, and the counts close and the values, and inside the values has to give the in brackets as a ID is a 6 and the names is current, and the counts close and the semicolon. So the result is so as student ID is a 6, as the names is current, and the age and the city's values is not give of this part. So the this values as to null as to show. Fifth is insert data from the another tables, as copy the data from the one table to the another's. Like a table 1 is create a tables as a old student, and the counts inside the ID is in integers, and a name is varchars counts as a 50 size, and the counts close and the semicolon. And the table 2 is a create a tables as a new student is a table names, and the counts inside the IDs integers, and the name is varchar counts as a 50 is the size, and the counts close and the semicolon. And after as a insert the data to the another table, so insert data as a insert into a new student counts as a IDs commas name is a colon name, and after select ID commas name from as a old table name. So the old table name to insert the data in a new student table. 6 is insert with default values, as create a table names, and counts as the IDs is integers and commas, and the names is varchar counts as a 50 and the commas, and the countries is varchars data types counts as a 50 size, and as a default counts and the single quotes inside as a India. So the country's values is not give, so as a default values is to gives in India. And insert queries as a insert into a table name is a employee, and counts inside the IDs commas names is a colon names, and counts close, and the values inside the values has to gives as ID is 1 and the names is John. And this employee tables has a 3 data, so the country's data is not gives, so the default has to select in India. And let's check the output as the ID names and the countries has to gives, and the values as ID is 1 and the names is John, and a country's values has to default as to gives as India. Seventh is insert a null value, as insert into a table name is a student, and the colon name is student ID, name, age, and the city with separate with commas, and the values and the counts inside ID is 7 and names is Ravi, and as a commas, and the age is nulls, and the cities is nulls, and the counts close and commas, sorry, as a semicolon. So the output is as a student IDs is give as a 7, names is Ravi, and age and the cities is give the values as a null. And as 8 is inserted date values, so the create tables as a orders, and the counts as the order ID is the integer, customers names is varchars counts as a 50 size, and commas as the order date is a date keyword in capital letters to write as a date, and the counts close and semicolon. And insert as a insert query as a insert into order name, order is table names and values, and counts inside as values has to give ID is 101, and names is customer name is Rahul, and as a date is gives in the single quotes inside as 2026, and days as 07 is a month, and days as the day is to gives like 28, and single quotes over and the counts over and semicolon. Ninth is insert a auto increment data. So the create tables as a users and counts as the id int, and after is to write auto underscore increment and a primary key. So the primary key is unique data, and as a not a duplicate values as to write, and as a commas, and names as a varchar size is 50, and counts close and the semicolon, and insert queries as a insert into a table's names as a users, and counts as the columns names is only as the right names. id is to gives as a auto increment, so the not write the id's values, and after the names is gives values, and the counts as values has to gives in single quotes as a Amit, and last as semicolon. So the SQL is automatically created IDs, and the output IDs and the names as the ID is 1 and the names is Amit. And the second values to write, so the IDs is 2 and the second values is give. Second values names has to give like Priyas and Karan etc. 10th is insert using a select with a condition as a copy of filtered data. So the insert into a table name is a new student and counts the ID's commas name, and counts close, and as a another table data, so the insert ID and name and from as a old table names, and as a conditions has to give as where as the IDs is greater than says 10. So the tens is 10 to up IDs is so in new tables, and tens less than IDs is not so. And 11th as insert multiples values using the default, so the insert into as a table name is employee and the values, and counts inside the 2 and the names is Peters, and commas as the default, and counts close and the semicolon. So the output is ID and the names, and as a country has to give, so the IDs has to give as 2 and the names is Peters, and countries has to default is right, so the default values is India, so the India's has to write. Thank you guys to watch the videos. Please subscribe the channel, on the notification and bell icon.